I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share it with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars.
What's good? We're going to get into TNA Impact from May the 14th, 2026. This was a pretty good episode of TNA Impact. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We now have a new X Division champion. Congratulations to Cedric Alexander. He's killed it, and it's paid off. So we'll talk about the main event. I thought that was solid. We also have a debut. We'll talk about that as well. That occurred post-match, so we'll definitely discuss that. So it's always good for TNA to bring in some new talent. Hopefully they'll continue to bring in more new talent, which I think they will. I do expect for TNA to have the services or get the services of Malachi Black, Zelina Vega, maybe the Motor City Machine Guns if they don't go to AEW, the Wyatt Six, and Apollo Crews. And I'll talk about why Apollo Crews and Aleister Black need to join TNA. So I'll definitely talk about that as to why they should join the promotion. And as per usual, we're going to talk about the ratings. Now, the ratings are like a roller coaster. They're up 1 minute, down the next. And this is what happened to this past week's episode of TNA, because it went down pretty bad. So, for the May 7th edition of TNA Impact, TNA drew 164K viewers. And in the demo, it was a 0.02 in the 18 to 49 demo. That's not good. That's not good. But then again, that was a weak show last week. You know, even though Xia Li, a.k.a. Lei Ying Li, even though she won the Knockouts championship, we already knew that was going to occur because of spoilers, right? So I don't know. I mean, it's fine. This reminds me of when they were on Access, basically. Like, this would be like their high number if they were still on Access. But again, I don't think that the AMC executives are pissed off about it. You know, it happens. And they know it's understandable. But this is why TNA should do more live shows, right? I feel like they're going to do better when they do live shows. I feel like AMC should have pressured TNA into producing a live show, at least 3 live shows out of the entire month, right? So if you didn't want to go live for the first month, my bad. If they didn't want to go live for a week, that's fine, but they should at least be forced to go live 3 times per month. So I think that's what they should have done. Like, let's just say they don't go live on the first Thursday of the month, but they do go live every other Thursday in said month. And I feel like that would have been better for TNA. And that's really what they should do. Because it's not hard to produce shows every single week. It's not hard to produce live shows every week, right? Like, you could still produce a live show and stay in the same venue for 2 or 3 weeks and then move on to your next venue. And that's what TNA should do. I mean, NXT does that every single week. They go live every week in the PC. And that's what TNA should kind of do, is just pick a city and just do your live shows there for 3 weeks, and then and then you tape. But I think that's what they should do. But you know, it is what it is. But hopefully, next week their ratings would have increased a lot more, and I think it will, especially since we got a debut and we got a new X Division champion crowned. So that's good there. So those 2 things should help out. And overall, this show was pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed this show. So we're going to go ahead and get into the show. So we kicked the show off with the first match of the night. It ended up being the Battle Royal. This was kind of a weak Battle Royal. So Mustafa Saeed, he showed up. He was a part of the Gangsters. He showed up. So that was pretty cool. He got a pretty good reaction. It was your typical guys in this match. So the System guys, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, Elijah was in this thing. Agent Zero was in here. Benson and Dutch were in here. And who won the match was Eric Young. So it came down to Elijah and Eric Young. Eric Young ended up kicking Elijah in the dick, and then that was it. So there's that. However, this was going to be a swerve because Eric Young won nothing, which was fucking awesome. So that's great. Again, I think it's time for Eric Young, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, Moose. It's time for Frankie Kazarian was in this thing as well. It's time for those guys to be producers, right? It's time for TNA to bring in more fresh new talent. All right, moving on from that. This leads us into Leon Slater. He cut a fiery, passionate promo about going from the youngest to the greatest X Division champion. So the Hardys, they showed up and they gave Leon Slater words of encouragement, and then Leon Slater and Jeff Hardy, they held their smiles. So there's that. Okay, that's fine. It is what it is. Who cares? This is fine though. But it is what it is. Moving on. This leads us into the Order 4. They were backstage with Gia Miller. So Mustafa Ali, he channeled his inner Aladdin, talking about how he spoke to a genie, granting him 3 wishes. He said his first wish was to be the absolute best that TNA has to offer. Mustafa Ali said that the genie told him he still has 3 wishes, which is hilarious. I like that. And then Mustafa Ali said he's going to hold yet another open challenge for the TNA International Championship. Okay, that's fine. So, there's that. That's fine. And for some odd reason, Gia Miller gave Jason Hotch some words of encouragement and thanked him, which was kind of fucking weird, but it is what it is. Maybe they're teasing a breakup with the Order 4, which is what they kind of need to do, really. Mustafa Ali doesn't need these guys anymore. They've been a faction for, well over a year, for sure. Like, Mustafa Ali came in doing the Order 4 gimmick, basically. And I think it's time to do something else. But it is what it is. Moving on from that. This leads us into... sorry-ass Eric Young. So he looked into the camera. He cut a promo. He said that Joe Hendry's gone. Ricky Sosa's gone, which is weird. I don't think he's gone. I think he's just injured. I don't know why he's not been back. He's been gone for like at least 3-4 weeks. Eric Young said that Mike Santana is going to be next. Eric Young said he would be the next world champion. So there's that. Whatever. Who gives a shit? Fuck Eric Young. He's a joke. Moving on, this leads us into Ying Lee, a.k.a. Xia Li. So she said that when she beat Ariana Grace to win the title last week, it was the best night of her life. She said that she's a 2-time knockouts champion and added that she's proud of bringing the title back home to TNA. Xia Li said that her English is not very good, and then she thanked the fans. So Xia Brookside showed up. She said that Xia Li could celebrate all she wants, but she has her eye on the championship. And sooner or later, it'll come home with her. Xia Li said she's sick of Xia Brookside. Xia Li yelled in Chinese to Xia Brookside, and then Xia Brookside said that she has to translate for her again. And she told her she better learn how to learn how to talk to her dumbass fans. So Xia Li wanted to face her tonight, and then Xia Brookside, she teased entering the ring, but she stopped. She laughed and she said she's going to destroy Xia Li mentally and physically. I mean, emotionally, and then eventually she's going to destroy her physically by taking the title. And then she mumbled something in Chinese, that being Xia Brookside, and then she translated it in Mandarin, which is Mandarin for bitch. Okay, that's fine. That's pretty cool there. So I like this. This is fine. Good shit here. I don't think that Xia Li is going to lose this quickly to Xia Brookside, so this thing should last. Maybe this thing lasts up until Slammiversary. So, there's that. I don't think they're going to put the gold on Xia Brookside, though. Even though she's a good heel and she got a really good reaction to boos. She got a plethora of boos. So the Sacramento crowd definitely booed the shit out of Xia Brookside. So I do like that. So this is fine. Let's see where this goes. But I don't think that Xia Li is going to lose this title anytime soon. She just got it. So I don't know. Moving on from that, this leads us into the system. Sorry asses were backstage. So Eddie Edwards said that they were robbed in the Battle Royal. Eddie said it's okay because he'll get another title shot, especially because they took Moose out of the picture, so that they're going to continue that feud there. Eddie said that they took out Moose last week, and no one knows when or if he'll be back. Brian Myers and Bronson Reed, Bear Bronson yelled about Moose, and then Cedric Alexander yelled about winning the X Division championship. Okay, that's cool there. I like that. Moving on from that, this leads us into a funny segment. So Gia Miller, she was sitting next to the barricade. She introduced former MMA fighter Keith Jardin, who was in the front row. He promoted the movie Over Your Dead Body. He said it was unpredictable and violent, which the TNA fan base the TNA fans would enjoy. So the personal concierge, George Eisman, showed up, and he just talked some shit to him. So the personal concierge walked ringside with Mr. Elegance and Headed by Elegance and M by Elegance. So they all said that he was jealous of Mr. Elegance. And then Jardine, he looked at Mr. Elegance and said that he didn't know what he was seeing, but it made him puke. And Jardine said that Mr. Elegance should go get his gang of hoes and go away, which was hilarious. And basically, Mr. Elegance got into the face of Jardine, and he kind of laughed a little bit, and then security came out to separate him, and that was it. So this is kind of funny there. The fact that he got to say hoes is hilarious. That's good shit there. Great TNA for allowing that to happen. That's some good shit there. I like that. That never would have happened in WWE, nor would it have happened in AEW. So, there's that. This is why I like smaller promotions. Because shit like this can and will happen. So, good shit there. I'm a fan of the Elegance brand. I just don't think they need to have Mr. Elegance, right? For real. Like, who is that? Who is that guy? So, I don't know. Whatever. Moving on, this leads us into AJ Francis versus Casey Navarro and the Sacramento street fight. And this match was pretty fun. The crowd was into it. There was a guy on commentary by the name of Chris Carey. And he did pretty well. He did pretty well. He talked about Casey Navarro's time on the Indies and everything else. So he did pretty well. He did great. Like, this is how commentary should be done. Remember when WWE brought in like some random nobody on WrestleMania was that night 1, and he didn't say shit the whole match. He was just there. This was not like that. So he actually did pretty well. I think Chris did fairly well on commentary. And he's a fan of pro wrestling anyway, so you can kind of tell. So I like this. Hopefully we can see him some more. Maybe he comes in at Slammiversary and does commentary for a couple of matches. I think that'd be fucking great. So we'll see how that goes. But this match was fine. It's pretty okay little street fight. There was a brutal down payment spot where AJ Francis hit the down payment. He ended up doing that through the table, and that destroyed Casey Navarro. That was all she wrote. So good shit there, I guess. This is fine. So whatever. To me, this thing is not over. This is not over with just yet. And I'm a fan of Casey Navarro. So, good shit there. This was fine. Moving on, this leads us into Mike Santana. He said that he had a new challenger after Eric Young won the Battle Royal. Mike Santana said that Eric Young is a foundational pillar of TNA, a former world champion, and is respected by their peers. Mike Santana said he built his name off of going toe-to-toe with guys like that. And guess what? He's beaten all of them. Mike Santana said that Eric Young may have helped build the place, but today Mike Santana is the man who holds down the fort as the world champion, which is 10,000% true. Daria Ray showed up to crash the party. She said that she was happy that Mike Santana was excited about his match with Eric Young, but he's not the next challenger. So, Daria Ray, she recalled the referee stopping Mike Santana's match with Steve Maclin at Sacrifice, and she told Mike Santana that he didn't actually beat him. So Mike Santana said that he didn't beat him, he dropped his ass. Pause. Daria Ray said that she just spoke to doctors, and Steve Maclin is cleared for a return. And Daria announced that next week it's going to be Mike Santana versus Steve Maclin for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So there's that. She also ran it by the board of directors. So Santino Marella, he showed up. And so Santino Marella, he announced that Indy Hartwell had re-signed with the company, which we all knew anyway. And then he acknowledged Ying Lee for winning the Knockout Tour title. And Mike Santana said that the company has 2 world champions that it can be proud of. So Daria then mocked Santino, and then they continued to bicker back and forth. So there's that. Then Mike Santana said he had enough of this crap and everything else and all that. But he said it doesn't matter who he faces or whatever, and whoever Daria Ray puts in front of him, it's going to be spin the block and a 1-2-3, and he's going to kick their ass. So this is fine. I like this. It is what it is. So yeah, this is fine. I do think that this is going to more than likely lead to an angle. I think we are going to get this match, but it's going to take place at Slammiversary. And that's got me thinking, does Mike Santana lose at Slammiversary to Steve Maclin? And maybe Mike Santana does go to NXT. I think that's where he's probably going to end up. I mean, there's nothing more that Mike Santana can do. I don't see Mike Santana being a 3-time champion. Even if he were to lose, there's just no point having him be a 3-time world champion. Like, after a while, it gets to be redundant. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. So, there's that. Moving on, this leads us into the injury report by Tom Hannafin. So, Trey Miguel, he's still out of action. He's still hurt for a while. We don't know when he's coming back. Same thing with Moose. He's out with a head injury. EC3, he's out indefinitely with neck injuries. So, wow, there's that. And then AJ Francis and Casey Navarra, they are still undergoing evaluations from their street fight earlier on in the show. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Moving on. This leads us into knockouts action. So Rosemary and Allie, they defeated Victoria Crawford, aka Alicia Fox, and Mila Moore. That's fine. So they're going to continue this feud, I guess. So that's fine. Makes sense. So it is what it is. Moving on from that, this leads us into the Broken Hardys. They show up. So Matt Hardy said that Vincent and Dutch freed the monsters from the Broken universe. He stood up in the gate and pulled off the lock, talking about the heels unlocked something from him and now Jeff Hardy. And then Matt Hardy introduced Jeff Hardy as Brother Nero. And Jeff Hardy ended up singing Obsolete. So whatever. Okay, that's fine. Moving on. This leads us into the main event of the evening. Cedric Alexander defeats Leon Slater to become the new X Division champion. So he wins the 2 out of 3 falls match. So Leon got the first fall, and then Cedric won the last 2 falls. This match was fun. I had fun with it. Leon got busted up in this match as well. He tried to go for the Swanton 450 towards the end of the match, but Cedric continued to work on the back of Leon. He ended up going out of the ring and acting all crazy and shit and getting into the face of Carlos Silva. He ended up, going outside with the championship, saying that he's going to be the greatest X Division champion ever and all that. So the match continued on. And like I said earlier, Leon tried to do the 450, but to no avail. And then Cedric ended up hitting not 1, but 2 lumbar checks for the 1, 2, 3. And Cedric Alexander is the new TNA X Division champion. I like this. I know people hate this, but, it is what it is. Look, I know they gave us really good video packages and stuff about Leon Slater and everything else, but we all knew that Leon was going to lose anyway, right? He needed to lose. There was no point to him beating Cedric 3 times in a row. There was no point. Like, Cedric at that point would have been worthless. So you had to give it to Cedric. You had to. They had no choice. I know people were pissed about it, but it actually does make sense, right? And so post-match, Cedric Alexander, he celebrates, and then the lights go out, and then we hear music, and it is Fabian Aichner, former Giovanni Vinci in NXT. So like that, he came out in a denim jacket and jeans and a t-shirt. And then he stared down Cedric Alexander, and that was it. So he got a really good reaction, and this was great. I like this because clearly they're going to have Fabian Aichner be the babyface in this. So he's going to have to be babyface. And he hasn't wrestled since December of 2024. So he's been out of wrestling for well over a year, which is great. And him coming to TNA is excellent. So he more than likely probably is signed to TNA. He might just do a year with the promotion, but hopefully TNA can convince him to stay long-term and to buy into TNA. I think he should. And I'm loving what they're going to do with Fabian Aichner. I do. I've always liked his work when he was in NXT. His work on the main roster was fine. But, he always felt like the third wheel of Imperium. And now, 2/3 of the faction is no more. Gunther's doing single stuff. Kaiser's doing single stuff as well. And now Fabian Aichner's doing single stuff himself. So I like this. This is great. Good stuff here. Leon Slater is probably going to be moved to the main event scene. So I do expect for him to probably go after the TNA World Heavyweight Championship? Probably, maybe not at Slammiversary, since Slammiversary is going to be in June. But he'll probably end up going and winning the world title probably at Bound for Glory. So that's what I see next in the future of Leon Slater, right? Because there was no need for Leon to beat Cedric 3 times. He's already beat him 2 times. There's no point beating him a 3rd time. And there's no point for a rematch. So that's over and done with. So I do like this. Hopefully, TNA ends up bringing in some more talent. Hopefully they're able to bring in Aleister Black, Zelina Vega, the Wyatt Six, and Apollo Crews. I think Apollo Crews would fit nicely in TNA as well. I think that would be great for everyone I just mentioned to go to TNA, so that way they can do better for themselves. Aleister Black more than likely can easily be the main event guy. He can be a top guy fairly quick, because I don't see Mike Santana staying in TNA too much longer. Apparently his contract is up with TNA in the summer, so he doesn't have too long with TNA, too much longer with TNA. He might sign an extension, but I don't see Mike Santana staying with TNA for too much longer. I think Mike Santana would be great in NXT. I think that would be tremendous for him, and I think he would do well on the main roster. He's been in TNA for a couple of years now. He's done all he can do. There's no point putting him in the mid-card or anything like that or whatever. So whenever he loses the world title, I feel like that needs to be it, right? And he needs to move on to greener pastures. But I like the fact that Fabian Aichner is here in NXT. I mean, is here in TNA, which is great. That's excellent. So let's see how it goes. It's always good to see a new face in TNA. Again, hopefully TNA can continue to bring in more talent in due time. So this is great. And I really enjoyed this episode of TNA. So hopefully the ratings will increase. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But with this being a live show and how good of a show it kind of was, I could see TNA, doing pretty well number-wise next week. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But what did you guys think of the show? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.